This is Kutaba Podcast, where stories meet purpose. We bring you voices that inspire, conversations that challenge, and ideas that empower communities across Africa and beyond. Whether you're a change maker, a creative, or just curious, this is your space to listen, learn, and lead. Kutaba Podcast, where voices rise, stories thrive, and impact begins. Across the globe, millions of children still lack access to quality education. And here in sub-Saharan Africa, the struggle is even more profound. In Zambia, many vulnerable children wake up each day facing barriers like poverty, learning disabilities, and hunger. But even in the face of these challenges, there is hope. St. Charity Community Education Center is doing something extraordinary. They're not just offering free early childhood and primary education. They are creating a space where every child, regardless of their background or ability, is seen, supported, fed, and empowered. From special needs programs to after-school STEM and arts, and a daily feeding program, St. Charity is more than a school, it's a lifeline. Their work speaks directly to global goals on education, hunger, health, and equality. And today I'm joined by the founder of St. Charity Community School, Chilufya Simwanza. She's a passionate lawyer and social entrepreneur who's creating sustainable impact through education, child protection, and community development. Through St. Charity, she's empowering vulnerable children with access to education, legal advocacy, and nutrition support. Thank you so much, Chilufya, for coming to the Kutaba Podcast. We are very happy and glad to have you here with us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
We are really happy to have you here with the work that you're doing with St. Charity, which goes beyond a normal community school. You are offering a school feeding program, which is very impactful and very helpful in so many ways. So I'm going to start with something very fun and something very light.
Okay.
My first question is this. If St. Charity Community School were a person, how would you describe their personality in 3 words?
First word would be grace. Grace and favor. One of the two. I don't know which one. The second word I would use is resilient. And the last one would be very... what's that word? What's the word I'm looking for? Home. Yes, I think it would be home. So I would say grace, favor, resilient, and home.
I love the way home fits in because it's more than just a community school. You spend so much time with the children, which is very, very impactful. And that paints such a vivid picture for anyone who's listening right now. And what's that one moment with a child or with a family that has stuck with you forever?
Specifically at St. Charity. So from when I started, the first interaction I had with children wasn't with St. Charity or at St. Charity.
That's interesting.
It was with an orphanage called God at Work. I used to work with the girls there. And unfortunately, something tragic happened. And I think the approach that was taken... So maybe let me narrate what happened, yeah? So when I first started, I was helping a certain girl in my community who had... these things where you're on Facebook, you meet a guy and you start texting and then you meet once and you get pregnant. And at the time she was, I think in grade 9. So the home situation wasn't good. There was no good support system from where she was coming from. So she approached me because I've grown up in that community, and even though I was also still young, I think she looked at me like a big sister. So she approached me and asked me for soap, bathing soap for her child. So I asked her, why are you asking for bathing soap? Isn't there soap at home? So she's like, no, So it's that thing where you all live in one house, but different homes in one house. So you take care, each one for himself, good for us, or type of situation. So I could only help with so much because I was a student at the time. And I managed to, I posted her story on Facebook. Just a brief background. There's a girl who's in need of this and this. I didn't think much of it. People donated. People gave baby clothes and soap and whatever. A number of things, which I gave to her. Then afterwards, another girl I grew up in the same community with, for her, she was married off when she was 14. And I've just seen her just have babies each year. And by the time she was approaching me, that was her third baby, and she was 16. And she also didn't have maternal, the things that you need to go, when you're going to the hospital, the things that you need to carry, cotton wool and things like that. When you're going to, so she didn't have that. So I raised that for her also. Those encounters of having people just looking at you and seeing hope. So it's difficult to pick one moment, because after that I worked with an orphanage. And at the orphanage, oh my God, I don't know how to even narrate this story. So there's an orphanage called God at Work. It used to be called God at Work. And it was run by a pastor, /bishop. And we would take donations to that orphanage every month. It would be pads, it would be a mealie meal. Then one year we had a Christmas party. So I held a Christmas party at home. So the children from the orphanage, it used to be in Ngombe, came home, and there were also other kids that I used to help came home, and we had this whole big Christmas party. So the kids, after the party, everything was normal. And on a random day, I see these 4 girls coming home, and I recognize them from the orphanage. So they came through, they were like, oh, I wanted to talk to you. And they moved from Ngombe to Ibex.
Wow.
On foot. So I was wondering, like, what's so urgent that you couldn't wait for my usual visit? So when they came, they started now narrating how the bishop would, I don't even know why I'm using the word bishop, the pastor, the man of God. He would, when we take donations, he would sell them. So if we take mealie meal, he would sell. If we take pads, after we give to the girls, he would grab them and sell. Then the worst part is that he used to abuse the girls. So when they came to confide and also report that apparently he was reported and he was on the run. And I followed up the issue with there's at UTH there's something, I don't know if it's still there, called One Stop. So if a child is abused, they usually go to that center and they get all the medical services they need. To some extent, some legal support is also given. Then YWCA also does some work. YWCA has homes, safe houses for victims. So I followed up with the issue. I was told the children were displaced, those that had families. Since in Zambia or in Africa generally, an orphan is not really an orphan per se, because they should be like an aunt somewhere,
an
uncle, a grandmother. So those were managed to be put in those homes. And then the ones that didn't have were put in safe houses. But lo and behold, the other day I'm watching news. This man was being arrested again. I don't know if you saw the report where the Minister of Community Development was crying on TV because there was a pastor and his wife who were arrested. So I
saw a short clip of it.
Yeah, he came back into the country. I don't know how. He was not arrested. I don't know why. And he started another orphanage in Chadley and was doing the same thing again. And he's been arrested again. But I think I've digressed. My point is just that my interactions with children is more, and that's why I mentioned the word home, because it feels like when they look at me, they see hope. It doesn't matter how little the thing is, just knowing that someone can confide in, even if I'm not able to help to a large extent, just that interaction with children where they look at me and they think, okay, this one will help us. In one way or another, she can do something. I think that's yeah, that sticks with me.
And that's incredibly powerful. And looking at your school motto, which is learn today and lead tomorrow. How do you see it shaping the children's lives and your own mission?
I would say because of the lack of opportunities. When you look at most of these children, you'd think I don't know how to put it. You'd think the issue is that they can't get up and go to school. Mm-hmm. It's that, one, they don't have motivation to get up and go to school. Two, the people who are supposed to, because even us when we're young, you don't want to go to school.
Yes, you'd literally be forced to get up, even taking turns, saying, no, it's my older sister who's going to take her first bath, then it will be me.
You just want to be in the blankets. Yes. But now imagine a situation where your parent hasn't gone to school, doesn't understand the importance of education. It's not even their fault, because it's coming from a line of not understanding how important education is. Yes, people will say, oh, it's just a business, but there is a way that education equalizes people in even just the way you process things. But there's a lack of understanding on the value of education. Yes, or maybe he won't become a doctor, maybe he won't become a lawyer, or whatever professions are glorified, but just being able to learn something, a skill. And that's why we don't center whatever we teach on it being that you will go through the traditional route of, oh, I'll become a teacher, I'll become a lawyer, I'll become a doctor. But just be able to know how to read, know how to write. Just that basic level of education is what we mostly focus on, because someone should have where to start from. If you're going to compete with people, have a basis. And that's why we focus more on just being able to have a basis. So that you can, when you decide to become a politician, you'll be a politician that can speak some good English. Yeah, so that's why.
And this takes me to my next question on who is eligible to be enrolled as a pupil at St. Charity Community School, and what does the process look like?
Okay, so my kids make me laugh. I'll tell you this, from the time I started this school in 2017, I have never, not even once, recruited children. Every child that comes to St. Charity, even the first 100 children that came to St. Charity came on their own. Not with a mother, not with a father, not with a sister, on their own. So I started with 12. Mm-hmm. The 12 are coming to school. One sees the friend going to school, follows. The other one sees, follows. Because they're not going to school either way. So, because there's no... Yes. So, our main thing is trying to break barriers. Education has so many barriers. Access to education has many barriers. It can start from as little as a uniform. So the fact that a child knows that they can go to school in whatever they are wearing, they'll come. Because no one is going to tell them...
being their true, authentic self. Yes, there's nothing about worrying about what to wear.
They don't have to worry. And the worry is not from just wanting to, but it's knowing that you can't stand up right now and walk into... Even if it's Kablonga boys, you can't walk into Kablonga boys or Kablonga babes, because there'll be an issue of I need to buy a uniform. I need to come in this attire. Can I afford that attire? That's the first barrier. So knowing that they can come to school like that, number one. Secondly, we provide everything from the pencil to the book to the textbook. So as you are, if you are playing soccer outside and you see your friends going to school, you can join them and you'll be in class. There's no barrier, there's no restriction. So what we do is when the children come, then we now do an assessment. So we follow them up to their homes. So we meet the mother, we meet whoever is the guardian, we see where they stay, we see their home condition, and we fill out a certain form. And in the form, we are able to sort of... Because amongst the vulnerable, they're also the vulnerable.
Oh, yes.
So we do that so that in case there are situations where, Doreen, you want to donate a bag. You can't, maybe you're not able to donate 300 bags, but you can donate 5 bags. those 5 bags, we should be able to know who deserves these 5 bags, who's in need of these 5 bags amongst those. So that's why we do an assessment, a home visit. We assess and we also categorize just to be able to know. And even sometimes if you have excess food, we're able to know that, okay, this family most likely might need something like an extension, and we extend based on that assessment.
I love the fact that you go an extra mile of carrying out the assessment, because you're able to make a proper decision that's well informed. Even when someone is coming, they'll be like, what criteria did you use to pick child A or child B? And you have a clear analysis of how you arrived at that decision. And this takes me to my next question. How does your school adapt education for children with special needs or behavioral challenges?
Okay. So my first encounter with this type of a situation, children with special needs, was we have 2 girls who, it's that thing where at home, maybe the child in class, right? The child comes to school and it feels like they are not paying attention. They're in class, but they are not really in class. So I have the teachers, and since I work a full-time job, I'm not a teacher. So I just get updates from the people that I've put in charge. So, and one of them is my young sister. So she came and told me, okay, there's this girl, and when you're talking to her, it's like she just gazes at you. Like she's listening, but you're not sure whether she's listening. And there's another girl who is extremely behind for her age. So certain things you're just able to tell that this and this is not adding up. So it's a weird story. Man, the education is important. So at home, and this is what I'm saying, it's very important for people to understand, to just have basic education, to be able to want to research or understand things. So for the 2 girls, I'll give you 2 scenarios. So the first one, who just gazes at you, the home understanding was that samamvela chabe, like she just has alibeche samvela matu yana problem.
Okay,
you get like not that there was anything. Okay, samvela, have you taken her to the hospital for the ear, the particular ear that you're talking about? No. Kaili samvela chabe. So then the second one, let me put it like this. So so sometimes I take it upon myself, because I know that they won't manage to go and pay for the tests at UTH and whatever. So I took it upon myself. We took the girls to UTH to do an assessment. So the first girl, they're interviewing and they're doing the assessment. The doctor is asking questions. The mother obviously is insisting, Samvela chabi, ngatum kambisa. She doesn't just hear when you're talking to her. So the doctor assesses, and obviously they're able to see that this is not just, she has symptoms of someone who could be autistic. The mother doesn't even know what the word autistic means. She's never heard of such a thing. So we're told to go further assessments, but at least we're able to categorize that, okay, the problem she has is beyond just the ear. No more ear. Yes, the ear could have a problem, but it's beyond that. Now, the second girl is the one that was, even for me, I was shocked, because I've also never heard of that condition. So they asked the mother what, like her background. So the mother mentions that Enzo Dwala Kofan, the child had malaria when she was young. So the understanding was that malaria from the time she was 3 years old is the reason that she's not bright in class. That's the logical understanding that they have, and you can't blame them. Yeah? They're basing it off whatever beliefs they have in health conditions. Again, that's why I'm saying education is not just about whether you become a doctor or a lawyer. It's just being able to have understanding of things that are going on around you, so that you're able to work on them.
Yes.
So we did some tests, and she was found with a condition called Turner syndrome. So this syndrome apparently is when a chromosome is missing. So I wasn't good at biology, please forgive me. But there was a chromosome missing, which delays the development of the child.
Oh, okay.
So this is a girl she's in grade 1 and she's 13. she's been at that stage, because even with the grade ones are maybe even learning faster than she's learning because of that condition. But no one knew she had a condition. Now, what touched me about that is that the doctor explained that this condition also causes issues with infertility. It had problems. So imagine a situation where this girl grows up and she gets married, and now she can't get pregnant. No one has ever known she has this condition, and she has. So it's delayed development. Everything develops at a slower pace. She will be accused of all sorts of things for not getting pregnant. Yet she has a condition that she has like no control over. So what we do is just we pay a lot of attention to how children respond when we're teaching, and we try to do medical tests when we can. And then when we're teaching also, we make sure that attention is given to those. So we have catch-up programs. So for children who are delayed, also there are those who enroll really late. You have a child who's enrolling at 13 years. She's never been to school. Yes, you might put them in grade 1, but they'll need more work, because there's a way that they've developed that them and a grade 1 in the same class would need a bit more effort. So we have catch-up programs where they can come through, or after classes, they can sit with the teacher and just go through to just help them catch up to where they should be for that particular age or for their level. Yeah.
And speaking of the catch-up program, how much progress have you noticed ever since it was launched at St. Charity Community School?
There's so much progress. A lot. I'll give you an example. There's a girl called Maria. She's now in grade 11 at Bowling Secondary. When she started, Maria started at St. Charity when she was in grade 2. But like I said, like I mentioned about the age, she was way ahead of someone who should be in grade 2. And I think in a year or two, she was able to like catch up and now move from that grade 2 where she started. She was able to get to the grade where she was initially supposed to be. And she's thriving now. But yeah, so I've seen a lot of progress. It helps also for their confidence. So knowing that they are working towards getting to a certain point, it boosts their confidence. Because I'm sure even you wouldn't want to be in a class with babies and you're looking like a giant in class. So there's a bit of also confidence building that has to happen. And that happens where you have to help the child understand that this is temporal and it's something that needs to be done. And some parents refuse, mwana wanga, they can't be nani mukulu. But you just help them understand the need for this particular stage. You can't skip it.
That's very true. And I love how inclusive your approach is. And this takes me to my next question, which is very essential.
Okay.
Which involves nutrition, food.
Oh.
What difference does the daily meal program make in the children's learning and energy?
They don't doze.
When
we started, oh my God. And the thing is, so I live on a farm. And before Ibex became the Ibex that it is now, I've grown up in that community. It was like a bush, like an actual farm. So there were these, those monkey biscuits. They're called monkey biscuits.
Msekese?
Yes. And you break time. Go to the classroom after break time. That is all you will find on the floor. Because that's what they were eating at break time. Out of maybe 30 pupils in a class, there will be 2 who will be able to go and buy jiggies, paka shop, or would have carried something. The rest, they'll be running towards the tree to pluck guavas. My guava is ostira kunyumba, please. Because the school is behind my parents' house. So break time, they'll be rushing to pick up if it's mangoes, if it's raw guavas, the same monkey biscuits. So that was like, what can be done? Clearly, these children are hungry. For you to resort to eating
monkey biscuits
for break, and that's the food that you're sure that you will be full. Then also, attendance was a bit low. You find a child, yes, is motivated to come, but then how do you learn when you're hungry? So you would find some would miss classes some days because they would rather
go out
and look,
and
for, food. Yes, it doesn't matter whether the food is at home, but just moving around. You know how post at town. I don't know where they find the money, but like it's that theory of thinking, if I just move around, something will happen. I'll find food somewhere. Maybe I'll find a group of people eating and I'll be able to eat, that type of situation. So that's what made us start the feeding program. We just used to buy mini meal and would make porridge. Then as time went by, we were able to include soya in the porridge. Then we were able to include samp. Then shima. It depends on what we manage to raise that particular month. Then we do chicken, sometimes sausage. They like it. So, but yeah, it was the difference that I've seen is attendance is way higher when there's food. Concentration is way higher because others will just be dozing. But also, there's motivation to come to school, not just to learn. And you find learning is even the least of their issues. They just want to come and eat. And that in itself, just knowing that for us, it's how do we get them to come to school?
Yes.
It's not even whatever they're thinking. So they think they're playing tricks on us, but we're the ones who are playing the trick because we just want to get you through that gate. And getting you through that gate is for you to come and sit in class, knowing that at 11 hours you're going to eat. You would have learned whether you like it or not.
That's very true. And this takes me back to boarding school. There was something about those days when you knew maybe we'd be having potatoes and sausage and looking forward to it. It's like, I have to make sure I go to the dining on time. So that really is trend important because food is a basic need. We all need food for anyone to concentrate, be it in school, at work. We all need something to eat.
Even for the parents, something that I noticed, and I don't blame them, but I noticed that even for the parents, the way they encourage their children to come to school when there's food is different. Because for them, that's a meal taken off, a meal that they don't have to worry about. They know lunch
is sorted.
Lunch azaja ku school. So they just have to worry about
supper.
Yes, because some of the situations that are there are that most of them, the last meal of the day, which is supper, covers breakfast. So they'll have maybe a very heavy supper, which would mean that up to the next day, lunch is when they could eat. So the parent knowing that the only meal they can provide is one meal, which is supper. If they can eat lunch, breakfast, just forget breakfast. If they can eat lunch at school, meaning the parent against you just has to worry. But then just knowing that your child doesn't eat in at lunch is also something that you have to push to afford, and most of them can't afford that lunch meal. So if we cover that lunch meal, they just focus on supper. Breakfast will sort itself out. They can eat usually the leftovers from supper,
the previous day,
are the ones that are breakfast. Yeah,
for most homes.
Yeah.
And you have impacted so many children, over 500 supported, and over 140 graduates. What's your proudest success story?
Yeah, I think Mary, Maria, and Agnes. There's a girl called Agnes and Maria. So those I've kept in touch with, and we've continued supporting them even through secondary school. But it's cute to see that, okay, I started with this person, and maybe that's why I feel like an old woman sometimes. Because I started with these people and I was seeing them in 20...
Growing up.
Yes, you're seeing people grow.
You can see the transition.
Yes, so I just seeing them, interacting with them, and it's like, this girl, when she came here, she couldn't speak a word of English. And now, here they are. There's some sad stories where a child starts and midway, wanakukira kumunzi, and you know that when they go, it's done. But it's nice to just see the kids progress. It just...
Are there moments when you shed tears?
Yeah, it's emotional. And also the tears are from the stress, and then there is the reward. because
you're able to see the transformation. You're like, this is actually making sense. It's for a good cause.
Yeah, like it's working.
Yes.
Sometimes bad, because
you're able to see the transformation. You're like, this is actually making sense. It's for a good cause.
Yeah, like it's working.
Yes.
Sometimes, I don't know, it's that thing where there's that thing people say about you never know when you're living in your answered prayers, because you're so caught up in
the future.
Yes. So that sometimes is a reminder that, okay, yeah, because sometimes I do feel like I've been stagnant. In my mind, in my own head, I feel stagnant. Everyone around is seeing the progress, but I'm not seeing it. So sometimes seeing that is a reminder that, okay, you haven't been stagnant because this person has been moving. So something is working. So yeah, I love it.
Oh, I'm very happy to hear that. And it's so clear and vivid that you're addressing many needs with care and so much creativity. What's the biggest challenge you're facing with running a community school like St. Charity in Lusaka?
Funding. Yeah, I think funding has been the biggest issue. So, from my understanding, first of all, when I would say that I didn't plan on running a school. I didn't plan on owning a school or having a school. So it's never anything that I sat down to say, business plan, or this is how I do it, this is how. I've been literally going with the flow. So no sort of like something I can look at and be like, oh, this is something I can give someone. Because sometimes people ask you for, yes, I have proposals, but they also want a business, like, what's your business strategy? No, I don't have one. If the child is in need, I help them. It ends there. But then the world is and I don't blame people, but the world is very structured in the way certain organizations need you to have certain things in place. But sometimes it's just, you don't know how to have things in place because things are just not in place.
Yeah,
like I don't know.
The same example you gave of a child comes through. You can't say you can't go back.
Because we have this rule.
Today.
Yes. So we have this rule that, we're now full to capacity. And so you just chase
You're trying to break that barrier of limitation. You're
so
trying
now
to make
you
it
yourself,
open
you're now
and inclusive.
being the limit. So it's that sometimes people might think you have no structure or order because you're doing things I respond to needs, not really to structures. So I might say that, let me give an example. I can make a budget and say, this month we'll buy food, and when this food finishes, it's finished. I won't touch into my pocket. It's finished. That's the structure. You've made a budget. When the food finishes, if I have an extra 1,000, I will buy food. Ideally, that's not how a structured organization should work. It should have a system. You should
rules,
be able to
the do's and the don'ts.
Yeah, you should be able to follow rules, but I don't have that. So I feel like that's really hindered a number of things for me, because some people to fund, especially big organizations, they need certain structures which are just very difficult when you're responding to immediate needs. I need to have so like another example I'll give is the land where the school is built was a gift from my parents.
Aww.
So I've never changed title.
Wait, did you? Initially, you mentioned about you didn't have a plan on owning a school,
yes,
but along the way with helping the orphans from the orphanages is where it developed from. So at that point, you're like, you have this land and this is where you plan on.
No.
It wasn't even like that?
No. Oh my God. I fucking think you're a mad person. But, so, Unza closed. I think there was that closure
indefinite closure.
There was that indefinite closure, a very long one, but I don't know if it was Kaingu or Kanduluo, but there was a long closure. I think
we had two.
We were in first year, going to second year, I think. Or we were in second year. There was a
I
closure
just remember we
somewhere.
had a closure, but I can't remember which point.
So during that closure, after the orphanage incident, I was like, you know what, these things, because I felt defeated, because it's like, yes, we're donating, but the money was going to someone else. The kids weren't even benefiting. So I was like, you know what, let me just leave it. Then after some time, I was like, you know what, if I'm able to do it for other people, maybe let me try doing it on my own. So I was bored that day. Then the gardener who was working used to live in a house at the back of the house. So he left, and then it was empty. So I was like, let me just call Ndani. I'll teach them how to read and write. So I went in book code, go take a board, like a whiteboard, and a mat in one of these Chinese shops. I can't remember where I even got it. Those ones for A, B, C, D or numbers. Then I asked the girls if they wanted to come and learn how to read and write. That's all. I started teaching them how to read, and they were 12. So teaching them how to read and write. Oh my God. I think I'm a busybody. For lack of a better word, I'm really just a busybody, because I had no business doing that. So teaching them how to read and write. Every day they would come. They equipped. I got books, I got pencils, everything. I even have some 12 photos. Then schools opened. The closure was over. Then I think I was going to school one morning, and I found one of the girls like just walking around. So I'm like, iwe, si unaenda ku school? Why haven't you gone to school? Like, we sinienda. Why? Mami nakamba kulibe space ku pa Chibelo, because Chibelo is the closest school in like my area. Yes. So I'm like, nanga wanzako, na wewe. And in a very like casual way, because they were just playing. They don't understand that. Yes, they've said there's no space in school, but then that's the end for them. There's no space in school. Kukankala space ndiye peti zaenda ku school. But they don't understand that time is going. And even the parent, what can they do? Because they can't afford to take them to a private school, even though it's in a low-income community. Private school in that low-income community is also still expensive.
Hi.
Yeah, so that's how I found a teacher. And I was paying her 500 kwacha. From
your pocket?
From my pocket. So my dad would give me pocket money. Let's even just say he's the one who used to pay, because he knew that when he gives me pocket money, he knew I was going to remove to pay the teacher. So whenever I went back to ask for some more money, he would just like give me. So I started paying the teacher 500 kwacha from in first year. And she just used to do the same thing I was doing. Because again, it wasn't supposed to be a school. It was a temporary thing as they wait to find space. Mm-hmm. So just reading and writing. I got to my desks. I remember I spent like a 1,000 kwacha.
That was your own personal money?
It was my own money. My pocket. When they give me pocket money, I will do that. But my parents they're just watching me. So
like, let's see what this young lady is up to. Let's see how far she goes with this.
Yes, so I got desks. I think there were 10 desks and the teacher. Then we opened. I knew 12. There were 20. I don't know where the other 8 came from. They started learning. Week 1. They are learning their 20. Week 2, 26. Week 3, by the time we were getting to week 4, there were 60. I just had 10 desks and a mat. So now the room that we're using has 2 sections. So now the other kids went in the other sections. They were learning on the mat. So she used to teach both sides, just how to read and write. 60, they became 100. So I'm telling my mom, number, like, what am I going to do? Because this is not what I planned. And she was like, like very, very casually. Like without too much thought, without too much, kulafika classroom kunomoko. And the way my mom is late, but the way my mom used to speak to me was with zero to no doubt. So even her saying build a classroom, you're telling a 20-year-old, 21-year-old to start building. Just the word before you say class, build. Classroom. I was like, Number, how am I going to do that? Ukakwanisha. And the next day, I called one of the, because again, they were famished. So I called one of the guys who used to work around. How much will it be to take a footing, whatever. And we started. The first blocks I got, I went around Ibex Hill. The guys that used to sell blocks. And I asked for 100 blocks, and they would give me some damages. You know the damages, eh? Mm-hmm. Those that maybe can't be sold commercially, but they still function. So they gave me 100. I think the first blocks, after going around all the block companies in Ibex, I think I got like 700 blocks. And then I started building.
And that was the beginning of...
Yes. Class. Every year I would add another class. Next year, add another class. And now it's like it's a school.
I'm really amazed by your story, and I love how authentic and true you've been with the process without knowing what was coming ahead, but you just kept going. And this takes me to my next question. In tough times, how do you keep the hope and momentum alive? In those moments when you were like, a classroom, how will I do this? Like, what kept you going to say, okay, I can pull through with this?
Me, I just cry. Like,
crying does help.
I just cry. I cry. Crying helps. Like, to be honest,
does.
I just cry. And before my mom passed, it was her. Because I can't even say that it was me who said, you know what, I'm going to. There's a time when I got to a stage where I was building the school, and he was just looking like a mdadada. You know mdadada?
Yeah.
Like, it just looked, it wasn't, my spirit just didn't like the aesthetic of the way the school was looking. It just didn't look nice. But also, at every stage, there's a time when I didn't have desks at all. Because after those 100, and we started building a class, we built the first classroom. Mm-hmm. We got to third, fourth classroom, and I couldn't meet the need from a personal point of view. So yes, my parents here and there would supplement without it looking like, oh, it's them, but they would help out. But there was a point when the kids were sitting on blocks. As in, we didn't have desks, and they were sitting on blocks. And each time I go there, my heart would just pain. And I would go to my mom, and can't we just close? Because this is, like, then she was like, Chilufya, no way kalapali way. Like, is it you sitting on? If a child has decided to leave home and they're still coming to sit on that stone, it means there's something you're doing. So even you closing, it's taking away that same stone. You are seeing a stone, but someone is not seeing that they're sitting on a brick. So just continue. Like, just continue. My thinking was, you know what? If I maybe divert the money I'm using on construction to maybe just renting a house in Mtendere, then I don't have to, I can divert that money. I was doing a lot of business calculations that, in hindsight, they were not even making sense. Maybe my mom just wanted to tell me that to, making sense. But it's knowing that even in the times where the classrooms could have been empty, they could have been empty because there was nowhere to sit. The kids still came in numbers. And funny enough, the time when we had the kids sitting on blocks was the time I had the highest number of pupils. That at a go, there were about 400 at the school. Sitting on stones, sitting on others, sitting on planks. That in itself was just like, why? Why do I need to stop? Mm-hmm. That was motivation enough. Seeing the children respond to...
That was your motivation to say there's a reason why they're coming despite them sitting on blocks. So this must be God speaking to you.
Yeah, because I'm thinking I wouldn't sit on a brick. I've never sat on a brick. And sometimes people ask, I've been asked, like, why do you do this? Or it's not, because I think people expect a sob story from my end. But I help because I've never suffered. Like, I've never had to experience certain things that I want to extend myself to allow that other people should not have to experience those things. I don't have to relate to sitting on a block. But just knowing that I would find sitting on a block uncomfortable, I don't want someone to sit on a block. Aww. So I was feeling uncomfortable for them. Yeah. But maybe the block is even more comfortable than where they are coming from. So, but the things that they just want to eat and they are coming to learn. So that was motivation enough. Otherwise, I had wanted to stop building this thing a long time ago. My mom just said, "Don't worry, it'll
everything will work out."
Yes, I was very sure. I had even deregistered my organization at some point out of frustration. I shouldn't have, but I did because I was ready to just stop. But she just said, just wait.
And I love your, like, how authentic you are speaking about. Most of the times people just share the apps, like, okay, we've made this money, the kids have moved to secondary school, but you're telling us about the challenges of where you almost you deregistered it. In fact, you did that, but you were still able to get back on your feet and keep it going. And that's what everyone wants to hear and feel, because they're able to connect and hear from your side, you know. And what's something the public misunderstands about grassroots education work that you would wish they could see clearly?
Misconceptions. I think people not understanding, it's not that they're misconceptions. I think I would say it's people just don't have a broader understanding of how strong barriers to education are. And it's from small things. I'll give an example of just with a girl child. Let me give a scenario. I'm on my period. I missed class for 3 days, maybe because I didn't have a pad. And in those 3 days, my friends are learning. And it's time to write exams. Yes, I go back to school after my periods finish in that month. The next month, same situation. It's 3 months in a term, right? Yeah, it's 3 months in a term. Next month, same situation. Maybe I missed 2 days this time because
so
maybe
it's like that's about like 9 classes already missed in the 3 months.
And let's say the exam or the test is based on some of the things that were learned during that class. You can say I'll study them, but you could have missed an important lesson that comes in the exam. Exam comes, you fail because you missed class, because you didn't study. You missed classes. Then another situation, you miss exams because you don't have a pad. How are you going to go sit in an exam room you don't have a pad and you miss class? And you fail. Yes, you're allowed to go back to school when you fail. But at home, unafelu kankalako chabe first. Wanzako waende ku school. Because now you've shown that, we can deal with you later. Yeah. Let your friends go to school.
Like there's almost... In what you're saying, I'm able to pick up how people don't really... We hear the word barriers to education, but at times we don't really sit down to really internalize and see how many barriers are there. It's not just about a school uniform and having a school place.
Yeah.
It really does go beyond that.
Fact, and it's little things. Because you're talking about a pad. Yes, post-period poverty, but understanding how does this actually affect the child's education. So she fails her exam. Let's even say it's a grade 12 exam or a grade 9 exam, an integral exam. She now has to sit for GCE. She can't go to university or whatever. As she's waiting in that period, things happen. She gets pregnant as a grade 9 or a grade 10. She's not going to go back immediately. Yes, they allow children to go to school, but a pregnant woman is a pregnant woman. A pregnant child is a pregnant child. Worse off. A pregnant child. To go back to school, they're already behind by so many. They first have the year where they're pregnant, the year where they have to take care of the child, because ndani anza kusungira mwana wenzo ziwa wenzo chita. Then now for them to start going back in grade 10, the shame, for them to be integrated back into school. You see most of them
catching up. There's so much.
There's a lot. There's the mocking
so
also.
On. Yes.
Before you know it, out of just emotions, someone just drops out. Wenesinga kwa nisema niseka kuskulu. Nina mwana, this guy says he wants to marry you quickly because you're thinking, who will marry me? I've got a child. This one has shown interest. Quickly, let me get
the child, the baby. At that point, the baby also has needs.
Yes. So I need to take care of my child because who's fending for my child? Yes, the government has allowed me to go back to school. But who's going to buy the porridge? I have to work. So there's no way I'm going to properly integrate into school. So those are like the little things that I think there's just very little understanding, not misconceptions, but understanding of the depth of like the bars. Like I also explained on the uniforms, just knowing that you can go to school without having to worry about, let me look for a white shirt, let me look for a black trousers. If I don't have, I can go as I am. I don't have a pencil. How will I write? Knowing that where you're going, you'll find a pencil. You're able to, because the guards are out. So you now just go there and you sit. Yeah.
This is really a lot to take in, because I knew about barriers to education, but I didn't really understand how deep it really cuts. And your work extends beyond the children into the lives of the family members as well. How do legal services and women's empowerment tie into your educational goals?
Okay, but because because my career as I'm a lawyer by profession. But also I have a strong attachment to sexual violence against children. And I understand dynamics of, again, it brings us to a barrier. Sexual violence against children is a barrier to education too, because I'll give you another scenario. A child lives with the mother and stepfather. Let's use stepfather because, again, people won't be able to internalize that a father would abuse their child. So we'll use stepfather just to be. And this child is abused by the stepfather constantly. They come to school every day to learn. Are they in class mentally, emotionally? Secondly, they come to school. This teacher is on their case. And you have a teacher who's on their case and they're being groomed or they're being told or they're being molested by the teacher. And they're thinking, inekupasa, I just need to sleep na basa. For me to, and then you understand that you can pass with or without basa. Like you don't need basa. And I'm using basa because that's what they call them, basa. Like the teacher is called basa. So not understanding that you really don't need these men to get ahead. But because you've been told that you're supposed to listen to your elders. There's a way that fear stops people from reporting things. So my angle to legal support and services is that if I have a child at the school who's been, let me not say at the school alone, if I encounter a child who has been abused, I need to be able to interact with the parent to understand, firstly, the reasons behind why they did not report. And when you speak to these parents, it's usually economic reasons that they don't report. Who's going to, yes, we've sent this man to prison. Who's going to now take care of our food? Who's going to take care of us? The woman, the mother hasn't been empowered. She can't take care of the children. The father is a breadwinner. He abuses her daughter. He gets arrested. And I think we've seen these situations online recently. He gets arrested. The worry is not, it's that, yes, the mother could be feeling for the child. But that feeling is, I also need to feed you, my child. So, do I focus on the fact that you've been abused? You get over it. Or you should eat. My thinking is, I need to make sure I have an avadia because I don't want you to starve. This other thing, we'll work on it. And I don't believe that the mothers don't feel anything.
They really do.
They do. It's just, they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. So being able to empower the women, first of all, is understanding their legal rights and knowing that in certain situations, there is no need for you to fear that, so the child can be taken to a safe place. So it's more of awareness, raising awareness on how exactly are the channels of sexual abuse reporting, what happens after, and more so also understanding or getting parents and people in the communities to understand how a child needs the word therapy, mkombon, it's foreign, but the child needs help beyond saying that, oh, banaba manga or abuela kunyumba. They're in the same situation, they're in the same scenario. So I'm trying to see how we can work around trauma therapy for victims, especially child victims of sexual abuse. Hopefully in the future, I'm hoping to have a safe house also. And another thing, from a personal level, I'm hoping to get to a point where I can also, because I'm not a prosecutor, I'm in private practice.
Okay.
But I have, through the organization, I'm hoping to get a way to also be part of the prosecution when a child is abused. And yeah.
And if each child could walk away from St. Charity with one unshakable belief, what do you hope for that to look like?
Unshakable belief that they can be anything they want to be, because a lot of them have been limited. Even when you hear children talk about careers when they start, it's the same 3 careers. So just opening them up to different possibilities, that they can be literally anything, even if it's been... they have to understand you can be a cameraman is not called a cameraman anymore. Mm-hmm. You can be a photographer and make money. Like just making them see things that they couldn't have imagined. So just believing they can be anything. They can do anything. There are no limitations because we've broken the barriers.
And that's a beautiful vision. Now let's reflect on what this has given you. What do the children at St. Charity teach you every single day as you interact with them?
Love is in different forms. Yeah, love is expressed differently and it's received differently and in different forms. Yeah, I think it's love.
Love is in different forms.
It's in different forms and you have to just receive it in whatever form it comes. Because there's sometimes where you just feel like everyone else thinks or feels like whatever you're doing is not making, or even yourself. Because I think I'm my own limitation, to be honest. So I would say it's love. There's a certain love that I feel from the kids that I can't describe. I can't. Yeah,
it's a feel. You can't describe it.
I can't describe it. It's just there's this love that I just, the way they talk to me, the way they behave when they see me, I can't describe that. I don't know how to describe it. And there's a way I feel when I'm around. I've tried to do so many other things away from
St. Charity,
and away from helping children. It always brings me back to kids. Whatever I try to do always brings me back to kids. So I think it's love.
And to bring this full circle, let's talk about how others can be a part of your mission. For anyone who's listening who might want to help, what are the most powerful ways they can support St. Charity?
The first thing would be volunteering. So, like I explained, what we want to achieve at St. Charity is a community of people raising children. So the community means whatever skill you may have, whatever thing you think you can teach a child. Maybe the child cannot afford, let me give an example of the way I said photographer, cameraman. There's no way that child will be able to afford to go and pay for photography school or get equipment or whatever. But introduce them to the fact that there's this. So even if you could come to the school one day and you show them how a camera works, things that they wouldn't see on TV, they don't have access to
a mobile phone
to be able
YouTube,
to,
Facebook.
Yes, even if it's computer literacy, how do you create a website? So I would like for more people to volunteer like their skills, even if it's public speaking. If you can come to the school, just teach them how to speak, how they can, just things that are out of their imagination. I really enjoy moments where they're learning some. We recently got someone who's coming to teach them how to dance ballet.